Thank you, Stan. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Hartford School Building Committee, June 17th, 2024 meeting, regular meeting. To call this meeting to order at 12:05. Item number 1 on the agenda is roll call. Mr. Wu.
Mr. Paul Drummond.
Present.
Councilman Clark, second.
Present.
Ms. Sherry Davis Gould.
I'm here.
Mr. Al Gary.
Okay.
Mr. Edison Silva.
Present.
Mr. Clarence Corbin.
Present.
Ms. Shantae Browdy. Okay, with 4 voting members present, we do have a quorum. Thank you and good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tony. Thank you. All right, everyone. Item number 2 on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes from the May 28th, 2024 special meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Silva with the motion, and second was
Councilman Clark.
Councilman Clark. Thank you, Jack. All right, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move on to roll call. Councilman Clark.
Yes.
Chief Davis Gouge.
Yes.
Mr. Silva.
Yes.
And Mr. Corbin.
Yes.
Okay, with that, the motion carries. All right, everyone, item number 3 on the agenda is public participation. I'll read a little note here. Due to the use of remote meeting format due to COVID protocols, public participation will be supported throughout the duration of this meeting by using the comments function on either YouTube, Facebook, or by emailing comments directly to myself at paul.drumming@harvard.gov prior to or during the meeting. And at this time, I ask Mr. Little if there's any, or Mr. McCauley, if there's any online questions.
There are no questions or comments at this time.
Thank you, Stan. Appreciate you. All right, everyone. Item number 4 on the agenda is administrative. There are no administrative items at this time, so we'll move on to item number 5 on the agenda. That's current projects under construction. Arcadis, O&G, CNR. Jack, please take it away.
Thank you. First item of business today is change order number 22 to Newfield Construction for the Buckley High renovation project. This is a total of $421,024.84. These items have been reviewed and approved by the change order subcommittee, and we ask your endorsement.
Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman. Second.
Second.
Chief Davis Gouge, thank you. Discussion?
Yes, to you, Mr. Chair. What's the
Yes.
soil allowance? What does that mean?
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
He was asking about
Soil-
the soils allowance item.
Yes.
We had allowances within the guaranteed maximum price regarding disposal of polluted and contaminated soils. Those have been exceeded due to the level of contamination that was discovered. Interestingly, the quantity of soils to be removed is pretty much on spot, but the disposal costs were greater due to the items of contamination that were discovered. So we had to increase the dollar value of that disposal allowance.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Corbin. Great question. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move on to roll call. Councilman Clark.
Yes.
Chief Davis Gouge.
Yes.
Mr. Silva.
Yes.
And Mr. Corbin.
Yes.
Okay, with that, the motion carries. Jack?
Next, we have change order number 24 to Newfield for the central administration portion of Buckley High School. This is a net credit of $4,047 and has been reviewed and approved by the change order subcommittee, and we ask your endorsement.
Thank you, Jack. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved, Councilman Clark. Second.
I'll second that.
Mr. Corbin. Discussion. Hearing none, we'll go on to roll call. Councilman Clark.
Yes.
Chief Davis Gouge.
Yes.
Mr. Silva.
Yes.
And Mr. Corbin.
Yes.
With 4 yeses, motion carries. Jack?
Thank you. Next, we have amendment number 2 to Arcadis O&G CNR for the Burns project. This is to extend the construction duration through December, the construction and closeout duration through December of 2025. There's a value of $515,935.50. These are funds that were budgeted in the recently approved project funding increase. It has been presented to the change order committee and approved, and we ask your endorsement.
Thank you, Jack. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Councilman Clark, second.
Second that.
Mr. Corbin, discussion? Hearing none, we'll go on to roll call. Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Chief Davis Gooch,
Yes.
Mr. Silva,
Yes.
and Mr. Corbin.
Yes.
There with 4 yeses, motion carries. Jack, next, please.
Next item is amendment 1.2 to PDS Engineering and Construction for the Burns project. This is also for expanding the project duration through December of 25. This covers their general conditions, reimbursables, and allowances, as well as their staffing. The value of this amendment is $1,434,033.50. It's been reviewed and approved by the change order subcommittee, and we ask your endorsement.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Chief Davis Gooch, second.
I'll second that.
Mr. Corbin, discussion?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Please.
Um,
Mr. Silva.
Is this 1 plus million included in what we just approved, or is this a different allocation?
These are funds to the construction manager. The previous item was to increase the program management contract.
Oh, okay. Thank
And-
you.
And similar to that last item, this was also budgeted in the recently approved funding increase.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, probably that was really my question. Was this part of the overall increase that was applied for?
Yes, indeed.
So- Great question. Any further discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, we'll go on to roll call. Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Chief Davis Gooch,
Yes.
Mr. Silva,
Yes.
and Mr. Corbin.
Yes.
4 yeses, motion carries. Jack?
Next item up is change order number 24 to PDS for the Burns project. This package of changes is worth $88,698. It has been reviewed and approved by the change order subcommittee, and we ask your endorsement.
Jack, is there a motion?
No, so moved.
Mr. Corbin, second.
Mhm.
This is the HSBC.
Second.
Mr. Silva, thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, we'll go on to roll call. Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Chief Davis Gooch,
Yes.
Mr. Silva,
Yes.
and Mr. Corbin.
Yes.
Okay. 4 yeses, motion carries. Jack?
Next, we have our monthly reports. As you see, the budget columns are now all in yellow as confirmed changes, with the 64 million going through the legislative process. Going through the approval through the commissioner. And as is noted, the current schedules for completion at Buckley and central admin is shown here as 25. We're thinking that final occupancy date could drift into the fall of 25. We're reserving judgment on that until we get a little further into phase 7. And Burns, again, looking for student occupancy for for the start of the 25-26 school year as well. Next slide. As we've experienced throughout the project, Buckley is doing very well on our MBE as well as Hartford residency labor. For Burns, MBE labor is continuing high, and due to the small scopes of work and the starts and stops, we've been struggling to get up towards our 30% goal. We're now just a bit under 25, and in our monthly meetings with the unions, they're all aware of it, and to the extent possible, they're providing Hartford resident workers whenever the opportunity is presented. Next slide. Looking at the Buckley projects, we have a uncommitted balance on the high school of 9.7 million. That includes contingencies as well as furniture, equipment, and technology that have not yet been encumbered. On the central admin side, we have about 1.1 million. That's also contingency, FF&E, and technology. We've paid to date about 18 million against the central admin projects. And back that up, please. And paid to date just over 73 million on the high school side. Next. So overall project progress, we're about just short of 35% complete on the high school renovation project, and exceeding 52% on the central admin functions. Phase 5, there's just some demolition that's remaining as part of that Phase 5 package of trades. Phase 6A is complete, and we're fully in the swing of Phase 7. As you can see from the photographs, we've got exterior siding proceeding in several areas of the building. Pool repairs are going on with the construction of the new well, the deeper well in the pool, and just about all trades are active throughout the building at this point. Next slide. For Burns, we've paid to date about 33.3 million and have about 12.6 million unencumbered as of the time of the end of May. That includes FF&E technology, some dollars that were set aside for construction scope increases, as well as contingencies for the expansion of the scope of this project. We're just nibbling away at some of those dollars through those increases that we recently approved. Next slide. Burns, we've had a flurry of activity gearing up for summer. We're constrained, as you know, through the school year due to small areas that can be taken over for work. So there's a large push being implemented over the summer. We have areas 4 and 5 under construction. We had no site work activities in the month of May. We are still struggling against some groundwater issues that have prevented some work in the kitchen to proceed, but we are continuing investigations there. Overall, work is proceeding as planned. Without any new surprises, we should be able to meet our summer goals for progress as well. Next slide. For our 90-day look-ahead activities, you see we've got a very full plate for the summer activities at Buckley, including continued work on the exterior, some structural steel going in, continuing on with the athletic fields. We should get the rug down on the stadium field this summer. And we have, just as I mentioned, just about all trades active on site at this time. Next slide. For Burns, again, a full plate of activities over the summer, looking at the last day prior to staff returning of August 16th. So it's putting constraints on just how far we can reach for the summer activities, knowing that the students will be coming shortly after August 23rd. So BDS is trying to make the best of a very tight summer in trying to pick up as much progress as we can in critical areas to be able to change spaces over for students in the fall. Next slide. That concludes our report. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Appreciate you. All right, everyone. Item number 6 on the agenda is current projects under design, Collier's project leaders. Scott, Ray.
I think Judy's going to handle this one this afternoon.
All right, Judy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Chair. So the action item for today is for Phase 1B. Last special meeting that we had, we approved to move forward for letters of award. This phase came in a little bit over budget, but it's within the contingency that we have in place. We did meet with the bid selection committee I believe it was last week, and reviews of the bids that came in. As you know, the bids that came in prior did lack some scope, so we sent it out for a rebid. As you can see, there's a little note that in participation, the NWBE is at 16% for set asides and 11% for PLA. And on today, we would like to recommend letters of approval for Phase 1B in a total of $5,820,762.
Thank you, Judy. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Chief Davis
Second.
Cruz, thank you. Second was, I'm sorry, I didn't catch it. Mr. Silva?
Myself. That was me, Mr.
Councilman
Chair.
Clark, okay, thank you. All right, discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to roll call. Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Chief Davis Cruz,
Yes.
Mr. Silva,
Yes.
and Mr. Corbin.
Yes.
Okay, with that, the motion carries. Judy, item number 2.
All right, so for item number 2, this is the action item for E.B. Kennelly. It's the same thought process for this. This is the Phase 2B in the award of the $2,546,401. As you can see, the MWBE participation that we have on this project was 31% for the set aside and 11% for the PLA. And then, like I said in the previous presentation of Betances, Kennelly also was reviewed by the bid selection committee as well. And this one, we actually have a savings of over $1 million.
But the motion itself, Judy?
Yes, so motion for approval for the letters of award in the amount of $2,546,401. And this is for the Phase 1B of Kennelly.
Thank you, Judy. Motion?
So moved.
Mr. Silva, second.
Second.
Councilman Clark, thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, we'll move on to roll call. Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Chief Davis Cruz,
Yes.
Mr. Silva,
Yes.
and Mr. Corbin.
Yes.
All right, with that, motion carries. All right, Judy, next on the agenda is the project reports.
Thank you. Next slide. So for Betances, we have been approved for the $66.83 million. We are currently in the process of reconciliation of our estimates that came in. And we're also in the process of installing the classroom foundations and fencing that should happen within the next week or two. And as we said in today's action item was the recommendation for letters of award for today. And we are currently on budget and on schedule for fall 2027 opening. Next slide. So as I mentioned in the previous presentation, we have a 60% approved MWE contractors, as well as 11% PLA, which is a total of 27% for the implementing phase of the project. Next slide. So for the Betances Learning Lab, as you can see, we have fencing going up. We have estimates due. Reconciliation is also taking place this week. we'll review the estimates with the staff, the city of Hartford, and the Hartford, Board of Education with, Sherry. And then we'll go through the CD design comments with the staff. We'll also seek to have some reviews with the advisory committee, Board of Education, as well as the NRC. As we go through this process for July, we also are going to seek approval for the DAS, as well as approval through authorities having jurisdiction. This will also include setting up interior temp work that will be taking place inside the school itself, as well as a host of other activities taking place for the summer. Any questions as it relates to Betances? All right. E.B. Kennelly, we are currently on budget for 88.13 million. We are also in the process of design estimate reconciliation. This week and next week will be starting the implementation of the temporary classroom foundations as well as fencing. And we are on schedule as well as on budget and on schedule for a fall 2027 opening. And as we said, for Betances, we are just received recommendation for letters of award approval. Next slide. So as I stated before, we had a 31% approval for NWB contractors, as well as 11% of PLA contractors, which is a total of 41%. Next slide. So in E.B. Kennelly 90-day look ahead is similar to Betances. We have fencing going up, as well as the design estimates are going to be reconciled for this month. We'll be meeting with the staff to review the estimate reconciliation numbers, as well as reviewing some of the design comments from the staff as well. We're also seeking to meet with the advisory committee, the Board of Education, and NRZ for the month of July. And we'll continue to meet with DAS for approval, as well as authorities that have in jurisdiction, and in addition to multiple design meetings that will be coming up. Any questions as relates to E.B. Kennelly? All right. For D Wish, we are at a budget of 27.3 million. We are currently about 40% into the design. We are started, the fencing is up at Wish right now, and we will start abatement towards the end of this month, early next month. We'll start that process, and action item from last month was the move to design development, and the design team is underway of designing the building as we speak. And we are on budget and on schedule for fall 2027 opening.
Excuse me, Judy, did I hear the budget correctly? Did you
Correct.
say
27.3 million.
No, it's 67.3.
I'm sorry about that, guys. 26.3 million. My apologies.
67.3.
Correct.
Thank you,
Thank
Judy.
you.
Well, at this time we had,
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
I'm sorry.
I have a question regarding the
Sure.
fencing. I happen to be in the neighborhood and I saw the framework of the fencing going up. When is it going to be totally blocked off from the public?
I think Ray, you can answer.
if it's not done today, it'll be done by early morning tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mhm. Any other questions?
Yeah, so dovetailing off of Councilman Clark, we have the Circus Fire Memorial coming on July 6th. I reached out to the construction manager as well as Colliers to make sure that the fencing that's going up won't affect the service that they're going to have on the 80th anniversary on July 6th. And it will not. So.
Right.
Okay. Thanks, Judy.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't make a formal presentation last time, or do you want to take that time to do that now? We do have the architect on board. We can run through the CD presentation.
Through your chair, do you want to have that after I review the status reports in a 90-day?
I don't see it on the agenda.
Okay,
Right,
no problem.
Okay,
on Judy.
that's fine. So we are currently at 14% approval for NWBE contractors as well as 20% for PLA. And that is a total of 35% for MWE contracting in the city of Hartford. Next slide. So the 90-day schedule, we have the fencing going up, building clean out. We'll start the abatement towards the end of the month, as I mentioned. All throughout July and August, we'll have design reviews with the school staff, Sherry, as well as the city in regards to the design development process. And that's all I have to present for today. Any questions or comments?
If I may, Judy and Chair, Scott Pellman from Colliers, I did want to note that at the last meeting when we met and discussed and presented the wish school to move on to design development, there was the consideration that we would be meeting with the Board of Ed. We did meet with the Committee of the Whole and the Board of Education. The architect provided a presentation on June 6th. And the presentation was acceptable to that group. So I just wanted to make sure that we noted that we followed through with that discussion from the last meeting.
Yes, correct. Thank you for that, Scott.
Scott. All right. Thank you, Judy. Next item on the agenda is item number 7, current projects and startup, Arcadis ONG and Nutmeg. Jack?
Yes, looking forward to the next projects in the pipeline. We have 3 master budgets, not for a vote, but just for information. First up is Moylan. We've got a project grant approved for $94.5 million. Our reimbursement rate is 95%. And we've got our initial line item budget values presented for you. Right now, we are crafting the budget around maintaining 5% of construction cost as owner's contingency. Next slide. Parkville grant value is $60.88 million, again at 95% reimbursement. Again, looking for a 5% of construction cost owner contingency, which has been our floor on previous projects. Moving forward to McDonough, we have a grant value of 59.8. We have some concerns expressed that there are conflicting pieces of data out there that inferred that that number should have been higher. As we know, these 3 projects have been on the shelf for a year awaiting action. So based on what we come up with at the end of schematic / design development, however quickly we can move forward with confirmation of the budgets, we'll be putting together a report on funding appropriateness, and that there is a possibility we'll have to go back for a supplement for any or all of these 3, so we can reconcile that project cost at that time. Next slide.
Jack, can you elaborate on the shelf for a year?
Yes, these grants were issued by the state in 2023. We're just getting them moving into the design process in 2024. We do not have data on the escalation that was factored in by the consultant who put these numbers together for the city. Typically, the expectation is that design starts the same summer that the grant is issued. So since these have been inactive for the last year, there is a potential that the escalation factored into the grant requests may not have covered that idle time.
Okay, thank you.
Next slide.
Okay.
I guess we don't have a slide. Just to report on the status of those projects, we have received qualifications from architects as of June 6th. There were 7 firms that responded to the request for qualifications. The firms are Armenta Emma, Fryer, JCJ, QA&M, Silver Petroselli, Tecton, and TSKP Studio. The decision was made by the chair that we would not shortlist, but rather interview all 7. As we are selecting 3 consultants out of this pool, based on the procurement guidelines the state has put together, which will be made an official change as of July 1st, but looking for a pool of no less than 3 for a selection, we knew that we needed at least 5 on the short list. So with 7 respondents, we're interviewing all 7. So we are in the proposal phase at this point. We anticipate written proposals to be submitted by the end of this week with interviews next week. At the same time, we've been proceeding with the development of general conditions and CM agreement. Those have been forwarded on to Corp Counsel for review before we issue the request for qualifications for construction managers. And we expect that by late June or very early July that we'll have the CM RFQ on the street. And that concludes our report on the projects in process.
All right. Thank you, Jack. All right, everyone. Item number 9 on the agenda is project closeout, Weaver High School. Same update as last month. We're continuing to work with a consultant to get the changes necessary at Weaver High School for the fire alarm system. And then after that, get the work situated and moving forward. The goal is to get everything set before the new school year. It's an aggressive goal, but I'll report every month, give the committee an update on that. Any questions? Hearing none, move on to item number 10, other business. I have none at this time. Anybody want to come forward? Hearing none, item number 11 on the agenda, everybody, is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Clark. Is there a second?
Second that.
Thank you, Mr. Corbin. Discussion, hearing none, roll call. Councilman Clark.
Yes.
You, sir. Chief Davis-Gouge.
Yes.
Mr. Silva.
Yes.
And Mr. Corbin.
Yes.
All right, everyone. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.